Hey, Tommy, Sanders, Ronnie Moore with you with our cast from the past. And Ronnie, we've had a lot of fun going back and revisiting the old classics, getting in the time machine, going back there, getting to visit with most definitely some of the legends of the sport. No rule says we can't just take an elite, especially an important Elite Series event, and dig into that one a little bit with the champion there. And we have chosen the Golden State Shootout from 2007, Clear Lake, California. That's important for a lot of reasons, right?
It is. It was one of the biggest weight tournaments we've ever had on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and being over a decade ago, it's a cast from the past for sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's bring in our champion of the Golden State Shootout. There he is, Steve Kennedy from his home in Alabama. Steve, first of all, everybody's got to live their lives a whole lot differently right now, of course, as we tape this. Are you guys making it okay?
Oh, we're doing all right. I haven't been fishing in 6-8 weeks. I don't recall the last time I went, so has to be the longest I've been in my lifetime without going. But I don't need this. I got 2 kids. I'm good. I got plenty of projects to do here at the house, and we're staying busy for sure.
It seems like the time gets filled up. You think you're going to have all this time on your hands, but it gets filled up anyway.
Anyway, there's always something, especially with the kids. So.
Well, thanks for letting us intrude on your time today. We're really looking forward to roll and tape it. Before we get started with the actual show, and we're going to look at the show and learn a bunch of new stuff about it, I know, through you. Let's kind of set the stage there. This was your second year, on the second year of the Bassmaster Elite Series. You had to think after 2006, you had found a home on the Bassmaster Elite Series. What a great season you had.
Oh, yeah. The whole season was just incredible. It was all big fish tournaments, kind of like what we had setting up this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my kind of fishing for sure. So, yes, I was coming off an extremely good season. I think I finished second in AOY the year before, and certainly on a roll at that point. I think I caught 37 pounds the week before at Amistad, too. I had a 37-pound bag there. I think I was leading that one at one point. But
well, you know, the show that we're about to take a look at now, Steve, was so full of fish. Usually we show a little bit from days 2 and 3. And there was not room for days 2 and 3. This was all about the final day there. But you had accomplished something pretty good over the first 3 days. You started off in 52nd place, didn't you?
I know I was below 50. It was 51 or 52. I had 20 pounds. I caught 50, 60, 70 bass. I don't know how many I caught. I mean, I caught them good. And come in, I wasn't even in the money cut. So
then you caught them really good the second day. You moved up to 13th, and then you made the big move. Not the biggest move of the tournament, but one of the moves of the tournament, Ronnie, going all the way up to second.
40 pounds on day 3. I know that Steve vividly remembers that day for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, after the first day, I regrouped. I picked up a swim bait with that little bass tricks and went around. And I found a couple of places where I'd throw over there and I'd catch a 5 or 6 pounder every time I go by. But I could see those big fish there and couldn't figure out how to catch them. So I tried that big osprey. I tried a couple of other big swim baits trying to catch some of those bigger fish. But 15 minutes before I went in on day 2, I went by that shag rock and I threw a floating hud out there and just let it float around. I had about 15 under it at one point and started twitching it and slow reeling it. And I finally got one to bite about 5 feet from the boat. It was probably a 9 or 10 pounder, and I missed him. But yeah, the next morning I went back and I had my HUD rigged up with all kinds of hooks on it. And I think I caught 8 off that first spot, and got to keep 5 of them. I had to let 3 of them go because they were hooked outside the mouth, and ended up taking all those extra hooks off, putting a smaller hook on the bottom, and anyway, it was incredible. And then I turned around after I worked that spot over. I went to my next spot and made 2 casts, and I had one about 8 or 10 come up and eat it right at the boat, and I broke my line on the hook set. So I lost my bait at, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning, I guess, and didn't call the rest of the day. I mean, I say that. I had 2 6-pounders on a balance beam at one point that day, but yeah, the biggie for me was coming back in. I went by that point where I lost my bait, and I looked down there on the bottom, saw my bait laying on the bottom in 6 foot of water, whatever it was, fished it out with my rod tip, tied it back on, made 2 casts, and caught another 8-pounder, which got me to that 40. So, so see, if you can believe that's the way it happened. That's the way it went down. So. Anyway, incredible day. A lot of dead time in the middle where I'm catching fish, but none of them helped. But But yeah, it was all about that big HUD. I say that. It's all about that big HUD right there.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Can tilt it up a little bit so it gets some more light on it there, so we can see inside the box. Yeah. And
I can
that
pull
is
it out. Hold on now.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a fan make me a shadow box of this thing, and but yeah, that was what it was all about. You can see the teeth marks all over it.
That is incredible. That set the tone, Steve, really, for you as a big bait guy on the Elite Series. It was just your second year, but I guess you fished with that mentality, a big jig or a big swim bait, looking for those isolated giant fish, and you've done that the rest of your career.
That's been me since the beginning, really. I mean, I'd prefer to go saltwater fishing. I like catching big fish. I'll fish all day with one big bait. I'll use a 2 to 10 pound bait when I go saltwater fishing for one bite. And so yeah, anytime we get to upsize and throw a big bait for bass, I'm in my happy place for sure.
And here's our first look at you in the show. At that point, here's the big catch for day number 3 right there. Man, oh man, 40 pounds and 7. At that time, that was the 3rd largest single day 5-fish limit in Bassmaster history.
That was an incredible day for sure. So.
You were a pound and a half or so behind Greg Gutierrez, the fireman from Northern California here. Greg had a great tournament, and did you figure he'd be a hard one to catch when you started out that final day?
No, I thought I was going to catch him. There was a huge school of fish under that bush on the backside of that rock right there. And I thought I was going to catch him until I got there and that helicopter was over my head going thump, 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 thump. We didn't have drones back then, so it had a big impact on my day. I don't know that I had a fish till about 11 o'clock or so after that helicopter got out of the way, but oh wow, yeah, that was the spot. Didn't watch this video. I should have watched it before. I'm getting excited here, just waiting. But yeah, I don't think I caught one here because the helicopter. He went around the island and then went down the bank, and it made for a rough morning for sure. But
there may be a little funny editing here, but I think you did catch one here.
I did catch one. Okay, I was struggling all morning for sure. So it's not. What have we got here? It doesn't act like a big one.
I think we may have one hooked outside the mouth, maybe?
It's a relatively small one anyway. The big ones, that bait disappears, the ones that matter. So.
Yeah, we didn't see you boat flip many fish at Clear Lake for this tournament because they were all giant fish. What was the deal? Set that up for the way the meeting went with the whole California rule. You're not sight fishing, but in California, the hooked inside, hooked outside the mouth rules were differently. So how was that explained to y'all, and was it worth the risk of throwing a big bait like that with a treble hook?
Anyway, that's part of going out there. They have that rule. I think it's set up more for salmon than it is bass, but and I'm not even sure the locals fish by that rule. I think they fish by more of Bass's rules if you're sight fishing. But there's another good one. But yeah, the way they explained it to us, if you can see where the hook point goes, if you close his mouth and you can see where the hook point enters, then it's not a legal catch. So yeah, I know I released at least 4. There may have been a more. I released 4 big ones, including a 10-pounder we're going to get to here on day 4, but we're not quite there yet. But yeah, I struggled all morning, and then there was I went by a dock. I caught a 9, and then it must have been the next cast. I hooked one, probably 11 or 12, that pulled the hook off. And so yeah, the day 3, I'd had some almost pull the split ring, almost pull the hook off the bait. So I had gone and borrowed some big split rings from one of the other anglers, and man, that boat flipped that one. That's not a big one either, but yeah, I borrowed the split rings, and I put the big split rings on all my new HUDs. I went and bought several of them, but I forgot to change them out on the one bait I had tied on in the box, and so yeah, I caught a 9, and then I hooked one. I think it was 11 or 12 that pulled the split ring off, pulled the hook off the bait, and then made a couple more casts there. And then I went to my back to that point where I caught the 8-pounder. Is that me? I don't remember even throwing a top one.
I think that was Greg Gutierrez.
That's not me. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I went to that next point and made 2 casts, and I had that 10 that was hooked on the outside of the mouth that I had to let go. And, y'all don't show all of it, but yeah, I went looking for my scale. I think that was the biggest bass I'd ever caught at the time, and I had to release him, so that was pretty painful. But I already had a 9 in the box, and he was obviously bigger than that one. Anyway.
Well, talk about your excitement level. And I mean, I can't imagine what excitement level you have coming out the day after you've caught 40+ pounds. I mean, getting out there on the water again.
Anyway, I was so excited. But like I said, that first spot was a bust. That gets in your head after a little while. But yeah, that last hour or two there, they started biting good. Man, it was just, anyway, I had 32 something. I got my weight slips over here, but I had over 32 the final day. And I really only recall having 2 big ones. I let a 10 go, hooked 11 or 12. Just, anyway, incredible place to go fishing.
Steve, you're a guy who experiments a lot. Still to this day, 15+ years on the Bassmaster Elite Series, you're still tinkering on how to rig swim baits, how to make them more the hookup land ratio. Back in the day, were you still completely experimenting and at the cusp of learning these big swim baits, or had you had a bunch of experience, around your own home with these big swim baits?
Nobody back east had any experience with the swim baits. I mean, the first time I got into it was Rubanus had finished 3rd. I think it was Amistad the year before, and he'd given me one of those Bass Pro swim baits, but no, they were not known at all back east. I mean, they were a big deal in the garage made type baits back out west, but. So yeah, before our tournament even started, I went out there. The first store I went in, I think I spent $3,000 on swim baits, and I swear, it's a bag like when you go into Bass Pro Shops. That little bag that it used to cost $100. Now it's probably $300 to $500. But yeah, I spent $3,000 on swim baits before I even made a cast. And but yeah, I had 0 experience with them. I mean. None. So yeah, I bought a bunch of the Ospreys, the Big E, Baby E, what is that other one? The Bass Tricks. I mean, the Bass Tricks looked amazing, but I don't know they were big enough to catch those really big fish there. But no, there we go. So yeah, I had some football jig fish. I think I went out there and caught me a couple out there too. So. But no, the swim baits were totally new. I mean, basically this tournament started the whole craze for most of the country. Anybody outside of California, anyway.
And it was still a few years before they were very common outside of California. A few years after that. Yeah.
They were hard to come by, that's for sure.
That's because you bought them all up prior from the bargain bin. You bought $3,000 worth of them.
Before I left California, I'd spent probably 10 grand on them. I definitely stocked up because I knew they would be hard to come by for a while. So, man, that's a big one there. Not supposed to grab the line. Don't do that.
No, you did it though.
I did it, man. And he choked it too. So yeah, that's probably a 9 right there. And then the very next, I don't know if the show works it out that way, but the very next cast was 11 or 12 that pulled my hook off.
That's the confidence I need to throw that big bait too.
How worrisome was it for you, Steve, when you'd get that tick of the line or that giant thump of the line out there with the swim bait and you set the hook wondering, is this fish hooked in the mouth already and hoping that it's not?
Anyway, yes, you're always worried about it, but anyway, when they get hooked outside like that, you end up losing them. Something usually happens. They got a lot more weight to work with when they come up and jump and shake their head. And so, yeah, we're worried about that all the time, I guess. But yeah, it does add another concern.
We're looking at Gerald Swindle here. 2 years before this, he had won Angler of the Year. But right the year before the Elite Series start, and he was having a great tournament here. And we saw a picture earlier of Preston Clark. That's as we watch this catch here by Swindle. That was in the background because Preston, the year before, had caught 115 pounds and 15 ounces at Santee Cooper. And pretty much, I'm sure you knew that record was going down on this day, or did you know that?
I mean, we didn't know coming in for sure. I mean, obviously that's a pretty big number, but But no, I mean, it was setting up that it was going to go down for sure. Anyway, I think I feel like I could have caught a lot more than what I caught. Like I said, I lost 11 or 12 and put a 10 back. And but I also did well in that tournament where Preston did well. I finished third in that one, I think, with over 100 pounds. So yeah, I got a heavyweight belt for that one too. So yeah, I absolutely love these big fish type deals. And anytime we can upsize, just most guys, a lot of guys don't have the experience for those type of big baits. And but yeah, I feel like it gives me an advantage. I think they've caught up. I mean, obviously back then nobody was doing it, but
Mark Zona sort of narrating the underwater here, and he claimed during that you had upsized during the course of the tournament. You went to the 10-inch so you wouldn't have to go through so many 3s and 4s.
Yeah, I mean, I started out with a football jig. I mean, it was incredible how many fish were out there, but like I said, I ended up with 20 pounds, 50-something plays. So yeah, this is probably the very next cast after that 9 I just caught. Biggest fish I've ever hooked in my life. And
let's just watch this for a second.
I'm twitching just thinking about it.
Oh, that's the one that came off, yeah.
This is where I go in the fetal position.
This is the one that straightened out the split ring?
This one pulled the hook off the bait. And I'd done it the day before where it was hanging just by the tips. I mean, it was just barely hanging there. So I had replaced the hooks on all the others. I say replaced. I bought a bunch of new baits and put the big split rings on them, but I forgot to change them on that bait. So yeah, it was a 9 and then probably 11 or 12. It was a huge, huge fish, and pulled the hook off. So yeah, I made a couple more casts right there where I was, and then I turned around and ran back to that point where I fished my bait off the bottom, and like I said, I think I made 2 casts and hooked that 10 that I had to release. So, God, you like that? I'm dropping my rod. It's embarrassing. You were talking about that thump too. It is you're reeling that bait so slow, it feels just like a jig bite. I mean, it is just an absolute thump. It's a pretty incredible bite when you get one. So.
Steve, this was obviously an incredible event overall. Some of the best single days of fishing for you, total 40 pounds, 37 pounds, things like that. But counting your day one, just 20 pounds, you had 102 pounds for 3 days of fishing. Has to be, for a 3-day span, your favorite 3 days of fishing you've probably ever had.
It was absolutely incredible. And I went out one more day after the fact. I put a 10-6 in the box just to say I did. So I'd never caught a true 10 before that week. So, and I had one probably 15-pound class come up and bite it. And I never even set the hook. I watched him suck it in and spit it out like it was a little tube.
Mark Zona mentioned that Peter T has the moves of a mountain cat. And this is what he was talking about right here. So take a look at this.
That brings back memories for me too. Now that where were we? The major at Onondaga, where I lost $220,000 by 2 ounces because of a dead fish. So.
Peter won that one. Yeah.
And y'all making fun of him, but I watched him pick up that trophy with one hand and stick it up over his head, and I went, wow. Because I know how heavy that trophy is. That is a big man.
Steve, obviously, the year before, you said you almost had beat Preston Clark at Santee Cooper, which means you were up above that century mark. How many Century Club belts do you own, and do you wear them often around the house just to remind yourself of these events?
No, I do not wear them often. I do have 3 of them, which I think the only other guy that has 3 would be Ski. So yes, I do have 3 over 100. I was hoping to get another one this year. The schedule was looking perfect for it, but anyway, I think we missed a couple of opportunities here recently to actually pull that off. But yeah, this is a 10-pounder that
there's another one.
Probably the biggest bass I'd ever caught in my life, and I didn't even get to weigh it. So. And it's hooked just right here on the outside. Obvious the fish bit at it. I mean, it's not like you could snag him with that if you wanted to, but yeah, y'all don't show all of it. I had to go dig for my scale, and anyway, it was, I didn't want to put him in the box, so I had to keep putting him back in the water, and we'd switch boats, so yeah, I didn't have my scale in there, or if it was, I couldn't find it.
Really gorgeous fish.
That was back when we were switching into your boats instead of fishing out of our own, so I couldn't find my scales, but
9.
look at the size of that
Oh
thing.
my gosh, and there he goes. That's,
I can't watch. Oh, anyway, it was an incredible week for sure.
it was certainly the biggest big fish beatdown we'd ever had in the course of, at least while I was covering the Bassmasters. And it was just something like, obviously that was the magic week at Clear Lake. Was it kind of an exceptional year too? Did they just have were they in the middle of just a real big fish population boom there?
That was, I mean, that's part of it for sure. There was several places we went back then, especially Amistad, Falcon, all those little places were in a huge boom.
You ever seen this catch right here by Gerald Swindle? This one back in the canal?
I don't recall it, no.
You ought to watch this.
Like I said, I hadn't watched the show. I've been talking about it for 2 days now. Oh, I do remember some of this.
Let's listen to this. This is fun.
That's him. That's a 10.
Wow. So when are we going back?
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh my God, come on, G. Get her back up. Come on, G string. Yeah! Yeah! Woo! You are it, baby! I got him! Woo! Yes! Yes! Woo! Look at the size of that fish! Oh my God! Yes! Give it here, dude! Don't worry about the damn show! Ah! Ah! Oh! Oh my God, what a bass.
Y'all didn't hear me screaming like that?
Oh my God, what a bass, dude. Check out the size of that thing.
All right, from that 10-pounder,
Yes!
we're going up to your final one, your record-setting fish right here. So walk us through what we're about to see.
What do we got going here? We'll go back to the island here. Did I catch one more 8 or something? I know I had that 9, and I had to catch an 8-pounder somewhere else. I knew I had 2 over 8. Man, I need a hat on. Look how slow that is, too. There it is. I don't even remember where this fish was. I assume it's off that Shag Rock again. Anyway, it was, see, that one's making me nervous there. See the bait. Most of those big ones, the big 8 and 9 pounders would choke it, I mean, like out of sight almost. But yeah, anytime you see that bait outside the mouth, it makes you nervous. Wow. See?
You know there's another one bigger than that still sitting there. Well, we broke the record anyway. That doesn't mean we won. But we're over the 115.
And I was calling.
We're
I
on
don't
the
even
record
remember.
now anyway.
You kind of acknowledged there you knew you broke the record
I
probably
knew
right there, but
it.
that didn't mean that you won the event. What did you think running back from this last fish catch into the weigh-in with the bag that you had?
I knew I had over 30. I don't remember. I ended up with 32 something. But yeah, I remember being back there. We weren't supposed to talk about it, and Skeet's pushing me. What do you got? What do you got? And anyway, I remember telling him I had 2 over 8 anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, we didn't know. I mean, anybody could have had 40 pounds and blown it away. So I don't know. Did I have the big bag on the final day? I don't recall, honestly.
24 pounds, 9 ounces, and
Peter T. brokenhearted there. He didn't break the century mark, 99 pounds, and then Swindle coming up with his double-digit fish to captivate the weigh-in. Backstage, you probably had all kinds of nerves going through you.
Yeah, so anyway, Skeet was... Anyway, I know Skeet was in the hunt. I guess I was behind Greg. Is that right? So
yeah, you were.
But yeah, I mean, we weren't talking about it. Everybody's kind of looking at bags and stuff. But yeah, we all had to bring up individual bags too. You couldn't have more. Hey, there's Louie.
Julian Louie right
but
there.
Yeah. We had to bring our fish up in individual bags. Any fish over 5 pounds had to come up in its own bag. Wow. Oh, how much did I beat him by? I don't even know. Hold on, I got a picture. He had 117.
How long did he hold the record? About 10 minutes, something like that?
I held it for a year, didn't I?
No, I'm talking about Skeet. He held it for about 10 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, 117. Ouch. Yes, that smarted, but yeah, he was beating me up pretty bad back there trying to figure out what I had. But like I said, everybody had every fish over 5 pounds had to have its own bag when we went up there. So yeah, I guess I had at least 3 bags. I don't know how many. We were counting bags for sure, trying to figure out what everybody had. But
most Bass fans, all Bass fans who were around to see that will never forget that one, Steve. And as you say, you held it for, well, only a year. It was broken
like
to Falcon
year,
the
I don't
next
know.
year.
Right, and anyway, I had a fun time at Falcon, but yeah, I got smoked at that one, so it wasn't good.
Well, it sure was good sitting here with you and getting to go through that incredible tournament on Clear Lake. Once again, Steve Kennedy, thank you so much. Like you say, you got a lot of chores to do, so we'll let you get back to that. But that was great fun, and thank you. Thank you again.
Plenty of projects to do around here, so appreciate it. Thank you, guys.